What's up, guys? This is Basak, and you are watching En Route, which is our brand new content segment by the good folks over at Roadmap MBA. We're super excited to have Mr. Chris Roach here with us today. He is the founder of Myra Agency, which is an agency that specializes in influencer marketing for POC creatives. Hi, Chris. How are you doing? So
I
lovely.
love that introduction. It's brilliant.
Oh, you like that?
It was brilliant. I've never heard that before.
You can take that with you and run and fly with it.
Well,
Of
thank you for having me on the show.
course. Now, jumping straight in, Myra describes itself as an agency built for underrepresented audiences. I thought that was a really interesting kind of turn of phrase, first of all. And before we get into anything else, I want to understand what your definition of underrepresentation is, because it's
For
quite a
me,
buzzword today.
for me, underrepresentation is really where audiences and sections of society aren't being kind of displayed in the press. So that's might be in the form of like not seeing enough black people in your advertisement. And just in general, when we look at the influencer marketing field, it is one of those industries where underrepresentation is really seen, and black creators and underrepresented creators for me just don't have enough opportunities that other people are getting. And that's especially true when it comes to paid opportunities, which
Mm,
is one of the reasons I started Myra.
beautiful. And why was that focus important for you when you first started out? Kind of, did you have an epiphany moment? Like, what is the kind of founder story that you were like, wait a minute, this needs to be the work that I do, and this needs to be the people that I champion?
No, honestly, it's been a long time coming. So I've worked in influencer marketing for around 8, 9 years. Like straight out of university, I went and worked for New York City's tourist board, and then went on to get some really big clients like Apple, HBO, Corona. And for me, it you see it every single day, and you see when you put together a casting list for different brands, you always see the same replies.
Mhm.
And a lot of the time that would be underrepresented creators just not being involved in it. And especially when it came to running events, disabled creators would always play a back role. And for me, it was more about getting out of this kind of token mindset where it's just like, let's get one black creator in and saying, this is something that has to be done.
Now, this series exists to marry business with culture. And for people that are kind of not in the know, could you break down actually what a TikTok creator is? I mean, is it just dancing in front of a camera? Like, what do they do? What is the purpose, especially in reference to the brand partnerships that you're mentioning there and some of the tokenism issues that come up?
So, to answer your first question, a TikTok creator is anyone. Essentially, anyone that creates content is a creator, and the people that we work with are just creators with bigger followings and people that have a real impact on the communities that they serve. So it's become so much more than just dancing on the internet, which is literally what everyone used to think it used to be. I think that's initially why there was such kind of a delay in TikTok becoming a bigger platform. And then TikTok really started kicking off when Reels became a thing and Instagram
Mm,
stole them. For me, a creator is really just someone that can empower their audience essentially.
right.
And for me, the people that we work with are really powerful in their industries. The people that we tend to work with have around 10,000 plus followers. And that's kind of like our speciality. And kind of in terms of how TikTok's transitioned in the marketing industry, we're starting to see it come in. And Instagram by far is still the most popular platform, and that's the platform that brands want to work with more than anyone. But there's now this conversation being had when we're running these Instagram campaigns saying, hey, do you want to start working with TikTok creators? And the thing is, TikTok hasn't developed where there's kind of a pricing point as yet. So we don't know how much to charge for TikToks.
Mm,
And especially the creators who are new in that industry don't know what they're charging either. So I think once that kind of gets formally set out the same way that we know how to pay Instagram creators, then it will start becoming more kind of prevalent in marketing.
That's exciting though, isn't it? Like the fact that it's a bit of a wild, wild west. There's very little spaces in the web left that are slightly unclear, unknown, and you know, you seem to have got ahead of the charge. Because even the last year, I've noticed the prevalence of TikTok, and I'm not on TikTok. You know, it makes that much noise. I feel too old for it, but you know, maybe I'm wrong.
The amazing thing is what I'm seeing on Instagram is it's just TikTok is just ahead of the curve, right? So everyone on TikTok will see that content about 2 months before it becomes big on Instagram. And I think people are just starting to realize, hey, let me just go directly to the source where there are all these new creators, new ideas, and it's become more interesting than Instagram. And I think kind of like one of my favorite things about TikTok personally is the comment sections are so much more relaxed. Like if you look at the difference between a TikTok comment section and an Instagram comment section, you would think you were from an older generation
Wow.
through Instagram, and in TikTok it's just like this exuberance of like youth and just like positivity and happiness where no one really cares that much.
Yeah. Exuberance, good word.
Thank you. It's a
Yeah,
vocabulary.
yeah. Now tell me a little bit then about Myra Agency, because you've kind of broken it down for us in terms of what a creator is in your mind, what the business needs. What do you guys do essentially to help bridge that gap? Because for anyone listening in that doesn't even understand what an agency is, um, you know, could you unpack that a little bit?
Well, I don't like to look at us as an agency because having worked for a lot of agencies, agencies are always kind of predicated on money. And they don't really care about the creators, they don't care about anything. They just want to get paid from the brand. So they'll charge them as much as possible and just throw random amounts of money. What I like to see Myra as is kind of more like a marketplace. Like you would see a job advertisement in that sense. So what we do is we work with creators from LGBTQIA plus backgrounds, ethnically diverse backgrounds, body and age positive content creators, mental health content creators, and disabled content creators. And we just say, hey, come to our platform. We know the audiences you're trying to reach, but we want to give you the opportunities. So what we do is we work directly with brands who are looking to reach new audiences and also give these opportunities to these sort of creators.
Beautiful. And let's talk about that a little bit more, because over the last few years, there really has been a movement on the part of corporations and brands to be a little bit more woke with their choices. Some of that has led to some painful campaigns and painful choices that you know, you kind of mentioned tokenism and people getting it very, very wrong in the name of trying to get it right. How involved are you guys with kind of
With
curating?
what, sorry?
How involved are you guys with curating somewhat of a storytelling in between the creator and the brand? Because you've got to match them. It's kind of like a dating profile, right? In some sense of the word, you got to match the guy with the girl, or you know, the guy with the guy
So,
in the right way so it fits. So you're not just ticking the box and saying, okay, well, we have a black person to represent this black
mhm.
bond.
So that's one of the most important things for us. Firstly, we do speak to the brand, so we do understand who's being authentic and the reasons they want to work with each other. But for us, it's not about saying, let's connect these guys. What we want to do is provide like a direct line of communication because that's the problem with an agency. An agency gets involved. The brand and the people that work for that brand, if it is a majority white-based company, it's like they will never learn unless they're speaking to the talent directly. So we just connect them. The brand gets to see why the creator wants to work with them, and they have the choice to turn down creators or work with the creators they want to. And once that line of communication is open, then it's free flowing and it stimulates a conversation which really needs to be had. So if it's working with disabled creators, instead of an agency just kind of putting in the necessary steps. It's the brand actually learning the steps to take so they can move forward and kind of apply that to their future campaigns.
So the one thing that occurred to me as you were talking was so much of what you do appears to be connecting cultures and actually helping transmute some of a white old male lens looking at this. Let's say a white old man has a lot of money, he wants to spend it, and he wants to do good work, like he means well. You're actually helping guiding that conversation, and you're guiding it in a way that is authentic. That makes you the connector in my eyes. Do you think that's fair to say?
I would love to think that. That's such a nice comment. I would think so because when I look at this industry, there's no one that does what we do, and that's really surprising. And I always tell myself, Myra wouldn't exist if the right things and systems were in place to begin with.
Wow.
If Black creators or underrepresented creators had the opportunities to actually take on their craft full time, then I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But the truth is, when you look at kind of the differences in pay, kind of like the equality pay gap, what you're seeing is a lot of white traditional creators are getting these opportunities and they're the ones getting the paid opportunities. But from the other side, it's the Black creators who are only getting gifted. They're the ones that still have to do their job part-time. And what I'm here to do is say, let me change that narrative and let me change this ecosystem so these underrepresented creators can do this full time. And so, yeah, I guess we're connecting people because we're the ones selling into brands. This is what has to be done. If this doesn't happen, these creators don't get a chance and you don't see the value in your return because on top of being from underrepresented communities, they actually have insane engagement. And that's the thing which people don't see. So it's like, yes, they're underrepresented if you're working with them in a brand, but they're also such value for money. It would be stupid for you not to pay them and not to work with them.
Beautiful. I mean, that was so compelling. Thank you. And we're grateful that you are here, but it's a shame that you have to be on some level, right? It's like,
I'm happy to do it. And it's like, for me, working in this industry for a very long time for brands, it was very vacuous. Like I didn't see the value in what I was doing. And having Myra now actually gives me kind of a sense of purpose in the industry, which I truly love. And for me, it's about getting rid of this narrative saying, oh, a situation like George Floyd happened, we have to jump on the back of this. Yeah. I want diversity and equality to be celebrated all year round. And at a very minimum, at least give these underrepresented creators the opportunity to shine. So it's like, you don't have to like change, but just like give me a little bit.
Yeah. Feed me a little. You touched on something so powerful there, George Floyd. This is a bit of a tough question, but for brands listening in, then, is there a right response? Again, we have our really well-meaning white old dude that I'm killing to death over here. But really, because I think those people do exist. And I've had conversations, I've worked with brands, they turn around, they're like, what do we say? What can be said? Maybe George Floyd is an extreme example, but there is terrible occurrences that happen day in, day out. And what is the response? Should there be a response? What, in your mind, personally and professionally, because we know when people get it really, really wrong, that's obvious, but what does it look like for these corporations to get it right in your mind's eye?
I think for a corporation to get it right, it's just being authentic and understand the problems and that we face as communities and underrepresented communities face. The sad thing kind of about what I do as a job is that will always happen. Like, I know for a fact that a Black man will get shot unjustly in America in the next year or two. Like, I know that a trans person will be, I know a trans person will be killed or attacked. And I know that then that will be the focus and then brands will want to jump on it. And like you said, I want to be the connector. So it's saying, like, if you're a PR agency or you're a brand manager, it's like, okay, we want to help, but we don't know how to help. That's what I want to be here for. I don't want to be here for tokenism. And in this industry, it's very, very easy to see the brands who just want to jump on something as opposed to actually wanting to change it. And all I would want is for people to be genuinely hurt by what other communities have felt like, and that's a big thing for me.
Oh, beautiful. And on a lighter note, also, the one thing that I realized, I think it was a few Christmases ago, not to throw the two most famous Black creators at every problem. So, for example, for a few Christmases, all I saw was Chunks and Billy on every single thing. Now, I'd love to see a guy get paid, not bad at it, but there are so many other well-deserving, talented creators that just don't get a shoe in because, again, they've made the most amount of noise, they have the most real estate, and they think they are thought of as the one size fits all solution, and that's just not the case at all. So even from that premise, you're helping kind of open up the space on the boat and kind of go, hey, there's more here for you guys, because diverse communities are not a monolith across the board, and again, like you said, it just starts with some of that authenticity and conversation. So very, very cool. Now, beyond the diversity piece, I just wanted to know, what gets your attention? Do you look for people that you're trying to rep or wanting to rep? Do you look at them in terms of their follower metrics? Do you care if they're unique in some way? What are you looking for when you're going on this date with these people?
Okay, so we have three kind of key principles when people signing up. So our kind of intake process is pretty simple. So it's ideally work with creators that have a minimum of 10,000 followers,
Great.
have a focus on empowering and inspiring people from LGBTQIA plus, ethnically diverse, disabled, mental health, body and age positive communities, and just absolutely love what they do because I think for us, there's nothing worse than someone that's just kind of like in this for the financial side of things, which obviously is a great like incentive at the same time. But what we want to see is creators love what they do, and we want to see a real connection with brands. And for us, it's about making sure when we do connect these brands, it's saying that you should feel free and open to say the problems that you're facing and like just go with them with that. Just don't say this is like a paycheck. Like feel free to express what you want and create this narrative where everything changes and everyone in this influencer kind of industry has starts to get the opportunity.
Mm,
Again, that's another reason why I love TikTok.
mm,
Like I think TikTok brings out such uniqueness from different communities, and
mm.
communities are truly celebrated on that platform in the way that you can just search anything, any background, anyone you want, and they at least have the opportunity out
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind. I'll jump on it every now and then, and people are just so creative. I'm like,
there.
how did you think of that? Jason Derulo is one example when he came out with some of his stuff, and he's just using every aspect of his talents across the board, and like how they edit things, and and obviously he's already famous and rich and doesn't need any more money. But it's impressive to watch the human imagination truly fly in this beautiful way. What kind of content do you consume personally? If we can ask you such a question.
Personally, I'm very pro positivity. I think there's a conversation which has been had over like the last few years, which is a saying that social media is a very toxic place. But when you look at TikTok specifically, the algorithm is very specific to who you are as a person. Like, I don't care who you are. If you're seeing half naked women on TikTok, it's because you want to see half naked women on TikTok. There is nothing that will sell me anything else to that. So what I've done kind of across my social media is just replace anything negative in my life with positivity, and you really see it, and it's like great to like actually go on social media and look at it from a positive light as opposed to a negative one. uh so yeah, like I'm very pro like seeing like a 90-year-old woman jump out of a plane, like that sort of positive like energy. I'm just about
I love it. A lot of bungee jumps that side.
that. I love that sort of stuff. Like I just love happy content.
What's your favorite part of the work that you do as a founder then? Like, what is the one thing with everything being said, if you could boil it down, is it getting the brief? Is it completing the mission? Is it connecting the dots? Like, which part of the process do you absolutely adore the most?
Everything is challenging. That's like the main problem of a startup. So I think the execution, like I've had some really amazing opportunities. Like we did the premiere for Babylon, we did it for what Scream 6 as well. And when you see creators go into that space and you're given a lot of kind of young creators this opportunity and the platform to kind of experience these things, that makes me really happy. And when they come up to me, it's like what you're doing is great. That's like the best feeling in the world. Like people look at the platform and they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" It's just the feedback that I get from it. I think that's what makes it worth it over everything because it's like incredibly challenging. Because when I look at this, it's where we started from in terms of building the app. That to an extent was fun, but then when you start getting into the technical aspects, it becomes complicated and a hard
Technical.
thing to like manage because you're like, okay, I'm not getting a notification here, and then you have to like test it, and it becomes less fun, less fun, less fun. And it's the same when you're pitching to brands, like it's a tedious thing, and like being a startup, like I'm on my own, like
Yeah.
it's literally just emailing hundreds of people at random hours, just whenever you can get the time, which is difficult. But when you get feedback and you run campaigns and you give people opportunities, that's what's really, really worth it.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing and being so candid about the difficulties because often we only ever hear about founder success stories and sparkly, beautiful champagne and yachts and happy days and pretty dogs and all these things. And it's important to also be like there is a real level grind in this. And this is kind of why we wanted to start this business meets culture segment specifically to highlight some of this stuff. You've been on this journey for a minute now. I want to talk to you about character. What three attributes do you think you need in this industry to be good? Not even good, great.
You need tough skin because like a lot of this industry is very cutthroat, and one of the problems we faced at the beginning was, okay, we want to work with these brands, and these brands like, okay, great, like tell me the creators you want to work with. So we would send off a casting list to these brands, and essentially they would just seal the casting list and just go to the influencers directly. And it's funny because it's like you're on my platform, like these people are obviously going to tell me about these things. So it's about saying, don't take that personally and just learn from your experiences because people will always try getting like one up you essentially, and that's probably the first attribute. Like you need to be incredibly passionate about what you do because if you don't enjoy it, you'll just wear out of it. This is an industry which is long hours. It's definitely not kind of like all it's made out to be. And you deal with a lot of things. Like for me, one of the things people will never ever see, which I see more than anything, is creators suffer from a lot of insecurity. And you'll have a lot of creators who seem like extroverts on camera, but are truly like introverts behind the camera. And it's them dealing with their anxiety. And it's like, for me, trying to be like a good friend at the same time and understanding the fact that it can get difficult. It can get difficult for them. And then you see hate comments, and it's really hard when it's like these people are also your kind of friends at the same time. So it's like you have to understand kind of like the end goal and just like have passion for everything you do. I would say those are the main, honestly, like those are the main two. It's a lot, just like it's a
Resilient.
love of the industry thing. It's love hate relationship.
I love it. And you need the support. You need the communities around you, friends, family, being open about it. Because it is also full of such amazing moments and connections. It's what you do with it. It's what you make of it, as you mentioned with the algorithms, So very, very cool. Now, I want to know before I let you go, what is up next for Myra? Any exclusives? You know what I mean by that? You can give us. I hear there might be something on the way.
Yeah, okay. So Myra is officially going out of beta and open to all creators across the UK in the next 2 weeks. So by April 15th, it will be available in the App Store. You can register, and we look forward to anyone that would like to apply.
Beautiful. Very, very cool. And what is your aim at the end of the day with this? Like, where would you like to take it? Do you want to be a scale up? Do you want to make it as large as possible?
I would love that. Honestly, like for me, it's going out to the US as well, giving creators out in New York the opportunity. I'd love to go to Canada, and I just want to create a global network of creators who can ideally kind of share their passion and understand each other's kind of issues, problems.
Beautiful. Going international with it. Chris, it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much.